Another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching us on this rainy December night. We appreciate it. For all of you on Comcast 7 in Bethel Park, thanks again. I run into a lot of you out there and neighbors and friends, so appreciate it. Also on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park, thanks for watching us, and everywhere else, from Nemacolin all the way to Cranberry, Wexford. We do appreciate it. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner, and Smoking Jim Frazier here. And I want to first do a shout out to Olive Oil's Pizzeria. I told the guys I'd give an extra phone call to them since that pizza was extra special. Thanks, Josh. 412-831-1900, or just stop in at Hillcrest Shopping Center. They're right there in the middle of that plaza there. Check it out, 412-831-1900. You know, I got a couple of my promotions here. Check out the December 19th, the Old Hollywood Christmas show.
I'll be there.
Smoking Jim said he would. We'll try to get you some tickets there, Smoking Jim. You got 13 godchildren, you told me officially. You can bring them. There's hand drumming. You got Rick Louse is going to be teaching them hand drumming. He's on the congas and other drums there, so he'll be out there. He can teach you that, Smoking Jim and all those godchildren. It's singing for cereal for the food bank. So Jessica Lee will be singing for cereal. Get your tickets. You can go to theoakstheater.com, or you can call, write this down, 1-888-718-4253. Tell them Pittsburgh Sportsline told you to call up right away. Then my buddy Vince Ornata, the artist, he did sketches of all of us, so he's doing that out at Robinson right now, the mall at Robinson, and I helped him. His Facebook page had 26 likes, so I just told him I'd help him a little bit. He's now got 55.
Yeah, I liked it.
That's why, if you're wondering what happened, he goes, Talking Machine, what's up with these likes? I go, well, you got a page. I'm one of 26 people on there. What are you going to do with it? So he's busy, and I said I'd give him a little jump start. So thanks for the likes. Smoking Jim, if you can like his page. Caricature, Pittsburgh, Vince Ornata.
All right.
Appreciate it. So that's what's going on there. Hey, then I have something special for Smoking Jim. Chip, you probably don't need this, but I'll tell you what, I was digging through a lot of things that I had. Smoking Jim's favorite all-time player. These are in pristine condition from when I was at the Post-Gazette. Chief and all the Post-Gazette and press guys, we'd get some of these. I want to present that to you.
Chief was wondering where they went.
It's going in the frame.
Let me give you a little secret. Chief and all the boys had a lot of them. If you wanted one, you could have it, but they're just there. Then I wanted to show you this. Smoking Jim, you'll probably want to keep one. Chip's seen these before, but this is Super Bowl 9.
The first.
Okay.
Wow, that's the first one?
Yeah, so
Lambert was a rookie.
I want to give that to you, Smoking Jim.
Condition too. Thank
Chip, if you want one of these.
This will definitely proudly go in our sports room.
Okay, and then I was going way back in my time machine, so I had 74, and I got 75. Look at that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'll take them both.
These are pristine.
Thank you, sir.
There you go. I brought
Christmas
a couple.
Come early.
Yeah. Merry Christmas from the Talking Machine
Joe
on
Gilliam
Pittsburgh Sportsline.
This was the year when Lynn Swan made all those acrobatic catches.
I like Terry Hanratty. Seeing him just look there.
That's my man.
But I come across these, moving some boxes, just digging in. So that's that. And then we hit a new high, 4,975 likes, 25 more to go. if you're the 5,000, maybe you can get Yager or the Super Bowls.
And I'll autograph it for you.
Yager might. Who knows? He might be available in January.
He's going to play till he's 50.
I don't blame him the way he can. I'm with him. As you know, if you watch our show, and if you don't know, we have What's on Your Mind, and we're going to start with that right now. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
It's coming at you.
you got to see Levine.
Look at the lights in here. Your seeing is 100% now.
Old high school option quarterback day.
Still, he has the same line. Is this scripted?
That's it, man. I tell you
No
what,
script
son,
here.
got a
Look at the
chance to-
blank piece of paper that he went way back on.
Got a chance to sit in the press box with my legendary high school coach, Pete Marino, next to him on Saturday. We're in high school. I was number 21, not 22. That was 22 in college.
Oh,
But
okay.
anywho,
Let me just tell you as another update, there was no 21 at Buffalo Wild Wings because there were no 20s. Just so you know. In Monroeville.
we're out of the 20s in there.
It's because Coach Ann Marino retired.
There you go, man. There's been some legends come down the pike in the last.
Well, I got
10
teared up
years.
when you said that you were sitting with your coach. I had to dab my eyes.
Oh, man, I love the guy. And
Did he give you any insights you can talk about?
no, not really.
Okay.
Not really.
We'll
nothing
move
I
to
can-
your. We'll move
not
what's
really
on your
what I
mind.
can put
then.
on here, but
Okay.
yeah, what's on my mind is the Pittsburgh Sportsline Player of the Week, and got an honor roll, and then I'll give you the Player of the Week. First of all, and most of these players, I believe, are juniors or sophomores, underclassmen. First,
Do you
one-
have a top 10, 11, 12, or 13?
Just a few.
Okay, because we're trying to pin you down. Go ahead, buddy.
First player, we're going to junior running back out of and defensive back out of Clareton High School. Lamont Wade had 100 yards rushing, 100 yards receiving. South Fayette had a sophomore quarterback set a record in the losing effort, broke the WPIL record with 435 yards. He made the honor roll. Quentin Hill, Thomas Jefferson, black running back. Thomas Jefferson.
I wonder if he's related to some friends of mine.
Probably, might be. He
Yeah,
might
the
be.
Hill family. I worked with them many years.
The Sugar Hill gang?
I don't know about that.
But, well,
These guys were pretty good friends with all the Steelers back in the day here.
is that right?
Yeah.
And he ran for 146 yards
Where'd you get all these notes from?
and 141 yards, excuse me.
Well,
Because they're always off by 5
well,
3 yards.
well, in between steak dinners, he wrote down a couple of notes at the Wpial Championship.
Well, for him to spend the whole day there, it's just remarkable.
In the pit.
And how he can write all those stories. There's Jack.
Hey, Jack.
Thanks for making it. You don't have to say hi. Keep chewing on that Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Glad you could make it. We now have a cameraman. We're running free here.
And the Pittsburgh Sportsline Player of the Week has to go to Central Catholic's running back, Ronnie Jones. He ran for 146 yards. But what made this kid so special, Al Levine, the talking machine, and Chip, he had a 72-yard punt return called back for
I heard
penalty.
that.
And he had a 70-yard screen pass called back for penalty. So he was a dominant player. And now we got to go to the Pittsburgh Sportsline Team of the Week. And a shout out to the honorable mentions. Clareton beat Jeanette. Aliquippa beat South Fayette. And Central Catholic beat Penn Trafford, a team I dislike even more than Central. And the team of the week has to go to Thomas Jefferson. It was a team that started the season 0-2. Everybody counted them out. And boy, the Sherpack and his coaching staff do an excellent job throughout the season.
Well, wait, is it not true that the Thomas Jefferson team did play Woodland Hills the first week, or didn't they play somebody in Quad A first?
Yeah.
They played up and they got beat, but so that really doesn't, to me, doesn't count as a loss.
Then they followed that up by getting beat again.
It's okay, man. It's not how you start; it's how you finish,
That's
right,
true.
Jim?
They finished as the best team. Beat Central Valley. Outstanding team.
An outstanding.
Whatever
team.
happened to Frazier? I missed what happened to Frazier. with all that information. Down goes Frazier, I wanted to say. You stole my thunder. All right, that's it for Smoking Jim. Thank you very much. Chew on another piece of pizza. Please don't choke on it.
Good.
Olive Oil's Pizzeria. All right, Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan. And what's on my mind this week is, well, it's the National Hockey League. That's what's on my mind this week. And, you know, it's we've talked about how scoring is down in the NHL, and the games are getting to be more and more painful to watch.
Yeah, they are.
And, you know, the NHL is doing nothing but... let's go Pens. But the NHL is really doing nothing to make the game more enjoyable for people to watch. And then you've got examples of goonism that still exist in the game where they're trying to get fighting out of hockey. And I think if you watch the international game, you watch the Olympic hockey tournaments, fighting's banned. You're not allowed to fight. And it does present a really enjoyable, fast-paced game. A lot of, you know, they do have a bigger ice surface. But, you know, was it Friday night? Sidney Crosby gets cross-checked across the back of the neck by Brandon Dubinsky of the Columbus Blue Jackets. A blatant attempt to injure somebody. Not only does he cross-check him, which is you know, a major penalty, but as he's on the ground, as he's face down on the ground, he takes his stick and he breaks it over his lower back. Now, this warranted Dubinsky getting an entire one-game suspension. Okay?
Shocking.
Now, when is the NHL ever going to do something about this? Now, the Penguins team, as it is put together right now, they don't have an enforcer on this team. They don't have people that are fighters. Every team used to have an enforcer as time went on. The great Wayne Gretzky had a goon named Dave Semenko. They called him Cement Head. Anybody hit Wayne Gretzky, they got a visit by Cement Head, and they never hit Wayne Gretzky again. So, you know, that puts the Penguins in a position where, you know, what do we do? They're taking our star player, and they're deliberately trying to hurt him. How do you get back at him? Now, there's a game coming up December 21st. You know, this is pretty much after the fact. What the NHL needs to do is they need to show that they really do care about their star players, and they ought to get this kind of play out of the game. And how do you do that? Multiple game suspensions, you know, one game suspension. That's nothing. It's a slap on the wrist. Right. 2 nights later, he's over there breaking his stick over somebody else's neck. Suspend him 10 games, okay? The loss he had for one game was about $31,000. In this day and age of professional sports, that's pocket change. You hit him in the pocketbook for 10 games, you're hitting him for over $250,000. Then maybe people will pay attention. You know, the game is much better when you don't have this
goonism,
goon hockey being played. Now, you know, somebody on the Penguins is going to have to stand up for their captain, okay? Because, you know, we've been complaining because Sid hides behind the net or he hides along the half wall. He isn't crashing the net. So now you get him to start playing in front of the net. Somebody tries to break his neck. When's the next time he's going to get in front of the net? You know, the way to increase viewership for the NHL is to increase the scoring. Whatever you've got to do to increase the scoring, how about just enforcing the rules that are already in place, which you've completely forgotten about? But I'm getting to the point where I've had it with the NHL. They need to do something to change the perception of how this game is played. They need to do it now. That's what's on my mind.
I watch roller derby and hockey for my fighting.
Smoking Jim, we appreciate
you
your
go
insights.
to the Golden Gloves when I see you're fighting.
Yeah, and pro fights and amateur fights, and then he goes to MMA. So he does see a lot of violence. Smoking Jim.
That's thanks to you, brother. That MMA, man, I love it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that we introduced you to that. Chip, I got to agree with you. I watched that replay again, and I was just shocked that not only he hit him on the neck, then he goes right on the back, the lower back.
Well, he's face down and helpless. Now, that's not the act of a tough guy. That's the act of a coward.
Yeah. And the good thing about it is he said he wasn't trying to hurt him.
No, of course not. Because if he was trying to hurt him, he'd have cross-checked him in the face.
Right. Or they'd have thrown him in an open door and try to hurt him through that way near a bench. But those are other things. Hey, I want to give an update on Smoking Jim's horse. Now, just to clarify this, he doesn't own the whole horse. He has 2%. It's a fractional promotional deal. Now, listen, they still have some spots. The other day they had 10 spots open, It costs you $350. It's one-time cost. You don't pay for licenses. You don't pay any expenses, so it's a rare thing to happen. So there's a couple guys like Frank Fabus and I think Dave Fabus. They own horses, part of the horse with him. And Frank was out at the race to see it. So it is a great way. I used to own horses, but you have to pay for the USTA license. You got to get your Pennsylvania license. So there's a lot of licenses you have to put in. So Smokin' Jim has a free ride because we're in the media.
Are you just trying to say is a lot of palms are getting greased?
No. Listen to how this is. The USTA, I should explain. It's the United States Trotting Association. They're the governing body.
Sure.
So what they want to do is have new horse owners. So now they got about 20 new owners already just because of this. And Smokin' Jim wants back in again.
Yeah.
And he's just going to keep raking into cash, huh?
Well, you could make a little bit of money on it because it's 2%. Like his horse finished third. Ashes and Dust come in third, race a nice race. For a first start in over a month, that's actually exceptional. Top 5 places pay. And he made about $1,200 that'll cover some of his bills and get split apart. So
Carry to zero.
figure what Smokin' Jim would get if the trainer didn't get paid and there weren't any costs. But that's how much fun it is. You know, we go out there. There's no other cost to it. So it takes a lot of pressure off that your horse doesn't have to win each race. But the top 5 places do pay a percentage of the purse. And like that purse was $9,500, Smokin' Jim. If Ashes and Dust won, he'd have got like $4,750. So that would help pay the bills for a month and maybe a profit. So
Wow.
you have to check out that SummerSlam stable. And anybody interested, you can give me a call. Call me on my cell, 412-973-9611. And we'll see if you can get a part of this horse. Now, what's on my mind is I've watched a lot of football, and I was watching of course, the New England game. And I'm wondering, how could they even lose or even have a chance to lose? But parity is alive and well in the NFL, and New England's famous for bad weather and snow to win games, but they lost. So now we only have one undefeated team in the NFL because that's been the talk all season about all of these undefeated teams. Now you don't have it, so the parity's coming back. Injuries are back in the league all over the place from top to bottom, and we'll see what Carolina Panthers can do this year. You know, they're saying they're going to the Super Bowl. Let's see what happens with Cam, and he's doing that thing. What is it, Smokin' Jim, a dab?
Yeah, the dab.
He's trying to find out about the dab. So he's making something popular out of nothing there. But it's exciting to watch the football games, except last night. Just wanted to give that update on the Browns and the Ravens. Okay, that's it. That's my update. If you watched it, which I didn't watch the whole game.
You didn't have to.
Yeah, I already knew the outcome, but it worked out well. So
Yeah.
that's what's on my mind.
Nobody but Cleveland. I mean, they've lost every way imaginable, and I think, yes, last night was the cherry on the top of the sundae.
Well, sure, you're kicking to win the game, and you lose the game on a run back.
Hey,
I mean,
you
that's
know,
unbelievable.
After that Steelers loss on Sunday, the only thing that was worthwhile was this weekend was watching the Cowboys lose on Thanksgiving, watching the Browns lose last night.
We'll get into this a little bit. We'll get our segments here, and we'll get some NFL talk because I'll ask you a couple questions on what you thought. But
Sure.
We'll go into that. All right, let's get to our favorite segments here. We got Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
Hey, yeah, Levine the Talk Machine. I'm wearing my Carolina Panther colors today. And when Carolina finally loses, I will be doing a dap with Mercury Moors and having a root beer. I can't wait for that day. 72 Dolphins, maybe the greatest NFL team of all time. But what's on my mind, Fiction and Fact with Smokin' Jim's Almanac, is in 2003, Pittsburgh Steelers had an offensive coordinator by the name of Mike Mularkey. And I happened to be sitting next to Mike on draft day, and he kept passing me the A1 steak sauce for some reason, but I didn't need it.
No, you don't put the sauce on your second
I don't need nothing
steak.
on my steak, brother.
Little salt and pepper.
And,
Not even that. He doesn't use that stuff.
And in the first round, the Pittsburgh Steelers were looking at a lot of players. They really thought they were going to get Larry Johnson from Penn State. But they made a trade. They traded up to get Troy Polamalu. But they had to give up a third-round choice to do it. And my number one rated tight end was sliding down the board. And so I go over to Mike Mularkey, and I says, Coach, I says, in the second round, let's draft Jason Witten out of Tennessee. Mike Mularkey looked me in the eye, and this is the last time we spoke.
Whoa.
He says, I don't like Jason Witten. I don't think he's much of a player. Well, all Jason Witten did at 6'7", 265 pounds, is that he's a 10-time Pro Bowler. He's the second tight end in NFL history to have 1,000 receptions. This is a guy that's 11,000 yards, which is the most in Dallas Cowboy history. This is a guy that is a surefire Hall of Famer and a great blocker, great in the locker room, the whole bit. So that's my fiction. In fact, from Smoking Jim's Almanac is Mike Mularkey didn't like the big 6'7", 265-pound kid from Tennessee.
Future Hall of Famer. Huh?
That's it.
Who did he like?
He didn't say. They didn't pick
He
a
didn't
tight
talk
end.
anymore to him.
I guess he
He
liked.
didn't talk anymore to him, Jim.
Yeah, I guess he liked.
He could sign.
Yeah, I guess he liked
Trying to
Alonzo.
help you, Jim.
They took Alonzo Jackson in the second round instead of Jason, but they might.
He was a huge bust.
Yeah, and the Steelers. Jason lasted till the third round.
Look at Dino Jackson.
Yeah. So, and the Steelers didn't have a third round pick because they had traded it to move up to get Troy. So, but that'd have been a great pick in the second round for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Would have been, could have been, wasn't. Thanks, Smoking Jim.
You're welcome, sir.
Chip, let's go to trivia time.
All right, well, we're going to start our trivia time off on an event that happened exactly 8 years ago tonight.
Whoa.
It was a defining win for a certain coach whose tenure at a local university was cut short. 13-9. Does that mean anything to anybody? 13-9.
Yeah, it sounds
the
like
Pitt
a
Panthers
brawl.
beat the number 2 ranked West Virginia Mountaineers.
Backyard brawl.
13-9.
That's right,
Dave
that's
Wanstead's team had the biggest upset of Pitt's recent memory, where they knocked the West Virginia Mountaineers out of the possibility of playing in the BCS championship
right,
game.
that's right.
So tonight, 8 years ago, was a good night for the Pitt Panthers.
There you go.
Great job.
Okay. Oh, so I've got some trivia over a lot of different sports here, and then I want to go over a team that was picked as the all-time Wpial Championship Team, and I want to make some corrections on it after reading some of the bios of some of these other players. I think there's a couple of adjustments that should be made. But on November 29th, 1890, and I'm sure Jim remembers that year well,
He doesn't remember 1990.
Navy beat Army 24-0 in the first matchup of this historic series, which will be continued this weekend.
Can't wait.
In November 29th, 1934, the Detroit Lions played the first ever Thanksgiving Day football game.
Wow.
1934, and I still believe that the only Thursday football that should be played by the NFL is on Thanksgiving Day.
Good job.
Now, we talked about, the Pittsburgh Pirates, record of futility. Well, there's also been a record of futility in the NFL that I don't think will be matched. And unfortunately, our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers were the team that got beat to end their streak of futility. In 1987, on November 29th, the New Orleans Saints hold off the Steelers 20-16 to assure their first winning season in their 20-year history.
Wow.
So, unfortunately, our Pittsburgh Steelers were victim to the New Orleans Saints, but
Defense
that just
couldn't
goes
hold a
to
lead.
show you they couldn't. Where have we heard that before? Okay, and then also, you've heard, Brett Favre has thrown 500 touchdown passes. Peyton Manning's thrown 500 touchdown passes. The way Brady's playing before his career's done, he may end up with 500 touchdown passes. But on November 29th, 1998, Pittsburgh's own Danny Marino, as the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, became the first player to ever throw 400 career touchdown passes. That just shows you how the game has changed in the last 17 years.
He might have 800
Well,
if
who
he
knows?
played under these rules.
True.
Also, in November 28th, this is the first and only time this has happened in the NFL. November 28th, 1929, Ernie Nevers rushes for 6 touchdowns and kicks 4-point after touchdown to score all of his team's points, an NFL record in the Chicago Cardinals' 40-6 rout of the Chicago Bears.
It won't happen again.
Wow.
It won't happen again, not in this age of specialization. November 28th, 1992, Bobby Bowden became the first, and I believe I talked about this last week,
Bobby
but it was
B.
November 28th, 1992, becomes the first major college coach to win 10 games in 6 straight seasons. And also the 28th, 2004, Cincinnati and Cleveland played in the game that had the second highest point total ever in NFL history. I know we talked about this a few weeks back.
We did.
When the Saints and the Giants played and ended up with the third most. They ended up scoring 106 points, the most since the Redskins beat the Giants 72-41 on November 27th, 1966. Also, I don't want to let our boxing fans be without something here.
Nice.
November 30th, 1956, Floyd Patterson knocks out Archie Moore in the 5th round to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And in 1979, November 30th, Sugar Ray Leonard wins the WBC welterweight title with a 15-round knockout of Wilfred Benitez. And I do remember that fight, and it was questionable about whether that fight was the bell was rung early on that or not. So now we're going to get to the WPIALs. And congratulations to the 4 Wpial champions. When I get done with this, I got a question that maybe my dear friend Jim can clarify something for me. But
He was there. He'll tell you.
But the Post-Gazette had put out the all-time Wpial Championship Team. So I'm going to run through some of the players, and some of you may recognize some of them. Some of them have gone on to stardom in the NFL. Some of them even ended up making it into the Hall of Fame.
Start off with Gateway.
Okay, let's start off with Gateway. If you tell me what year you played.
Now we found out he's number 21 in high school.
Well, I'm going to go back to the tapes. I'm going to pick Coach Anna-Marina's brain. But number 1, a quarterback. This is the all-time Wpial Championship Team quarterback that never played in a championship game. Joe Namath. Joe Willie Namath of Beaver Falls. He in 1960, when Beaver Falls was awarded the championship, the only teams that were eligible to play in the championship game were undefeated teams. Beaver Falls was the only team that was undefeated, so they were awarded the championship without playing in a championship game. Somehow that makes him the all-time quarterback. I beg to differ. We'll get to that later.
Whoa.
Running back. 1956, Dick Hoke out of Jeanette. We go back a little further. Deacon Dan Tyler from Denora, 1944, 1945. He ended up playing in the NFL. Played a wide receiver. Stevie Breston from Woodland Hills. He was a quarterback in high school, a wide receiver for 6 years in the NFL. And he played in the Super Bowl with the Arizona Cardinals, and I believe they lost to a certain Pittsburgh team that night. So Pittsburgh West wasn't in effect. The next wide receiver, Eric Crabtree of Monessen, 1961. He was a running back in high school. He went on to play at Pitt, then wide receiver in the AFL and NFL. Tight end, none other than Aliquippa's own Mike Ditka. Iron Mike's, you don't need to say anything more about him. On the offensive line, Steve August from Jeanette, 1971, played 8 seasons in the NFL. Doug Cruson from Monessen in 1961. Played 7 years in the NFL. Then one of the greatest offensive linemen to come out of Western Pennsylvania, Bill Fralick.
Greatest.
And we won't mention what they did to a certain high school.
What? You mean Gateway lost?
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah. Rich Saul out of Butler from 1965, played 12 years with the Rams, made 6 Pro Bowls. Brothers Ron and Bill also played in the NFL. And then
amazing.
Jim Sweeney out of Seton LaSalle, 1979. Played 16 seasons in the NFL, including 4 with the Steelers. Now we'll go on to the other side of the ball.
Defense.
North Hill, defensive line and linebackers, they bunched them all together. LeVar Arrington, Mr. Everything out of North Hills, 1993. Bruce Clark out of Newcastle, 1973-75. All-American in Penn State. Played 8 years in the NFL. Sean Gilbert out of Aliquippa, 1987-88. Played 11 years in the NFL. Next up, Sean Lee out of Upper St. Clair, who's starting linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys. Followed by Paul Posluszny, Hopewell product, 2001-2002. He's playing for the Buffalo Bills at this point.
Best I've ever seen in high school.
Myron Potios out of Charleroi, 1956. Played the NFL, made 6 Pro Bowls.
Did he play with Jack at Charleroi?
Maybe, our friend. We got a friend, a security guy. No, that's a little before his time.
Next up is Brandon Short of McKeesport. He played 7 years in the NFL with Carolina and the Giants. The defensive backs, Arnold Galifa out of Denora, 1944, slightly before our time. The next 3 I'm sure everybody will recognize. Ty Law at Aliquippa, 1991, played 15 years in the NFL. Terrell Pryor as a defensive back in 2006-2007, who was just signed today by the Cleveland Browns. May get a backup quarterback job. I bet you we see him on the field before we see Johnny Football. And then there is, they say no man is an island. Well, this one is. Darrell Revis out of Aliquippa, 2003. Island. Yes, sir. And then the coach, and I know this will break Jim's heart, coach of the all-time Wpial Championship Team coach, Phil Breedenbach out of Newcastle. He coached 7 Wpial titles when he coached from 1924 to 1949. Now, I will take exception with the mention of the quarterback here, because here's a quarterback that never played in a championship game, and they say he's on the all-time Wpial Championship Team. Tyler Palko is probably one of the greatest quarterbacks that played in the WPIAL. He made it to 3 championship games, and he won all 3 of them. Right there, that trumps anything Joe Namath did. Joe Namath made a lot of commercials. You know, he made a prediction before the Super Bowl III, but other than that...
And he wore stockings.
Not so much. And also, an honorable mention to Terry Hanratty for Butler High School, 1965. And anybody else with that, and let's not forget the Pittsburgh Pirates second baseman Neal Walker. Neal Walker was 1-1 in Wpial championships. He
full football scholarship to
2003. So he's an all-around athlete. But that is all I've got for trivia this week. And one question I would like answered by my dear friend Jim.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we've got the state championships
PIAA
going this weekend, and it appears to me that the only teams that are playing in the PIAA playoffs are the teams that won championships.
Yes, sir.
None of the second place teams or anything else.
Not this year. Next year.
So they're going to play this weekend, and the championships are the following weekend.
No, 3 games.
3 games?
Yeah, this will be the quarterfinals this week, then the semifinals.
Okay.
I got something I'm not allowed to reveal about
you always
next year.
do. Would you please tell us?
But, so I might as well reveal it. Next year, you know how there's talk that they're no longer going to be at Heinz Field.
Right.
Correct.
But they don't want this out yet. But this is what's going to happen.
Thanks, Smokey Jim.
You're
a man on the inside who's never inside.
They're going to Class A and Double A will remain the same. You know, nobody cares about those guys. Now they're going to have 6 classifications.
Right.
So the winner, the championships will be the week before for Triple A, Quad A, whatever 5
5A
and 6
and
is.
6A.
Okay. So
Don't do the math. Just tell us.
Whoever wins the 3A and 4A will play each other at Heinz Field, and whoever wins 5A and 6A will play each other at Heinz Field, along with A and AA in the championship. But the winner and the losers will advance to the state.
Sure.
Because they're two different classifications, so they're going to combine. So
So they'll keep the 4 games that you can go to.
Yeah. So you'll have actually 6 champions.
6 champions
two
and
will
4
be
championship games.
Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah, that's it.
this is the thing that makes me scratch my head. Now with
You didn't hear it from me.
for Class 6A,
Who are you?
and this is based on the population of the schools, but in Class 6A, there are 13 teams in Class 6A.
Oh, yeah?
There are 18 teams in Class 5A.
Wow.
Now, here's what they don't know yet. Who is going to claim what class they're in, because you are allowed to play up in a class if you want to.
Yeah, like Alabama.
But you can't play down in a class. Okay. So there's actually 31 teams in 5A and 6A. And the point of that being, there's a lot of great rivalries. They're going to be destroyed by this realignment. Teams that have played each other year in and year out. And if somebody decides to stay in 6A and you're in 5A, games that people, their grandparents and their great grandparents and generations of families played against one another. Now these are all going to get ruined. So we won't know until later, I think, in the spring. Find out who's going to play in what classification.
I'll find out before that for you.
Yeah, and you know what? Your
Thanks,
secret, just everybody, I want you to understand, your secret's safe with Jim.
Not at all. The only secret you'll have is we just found out
His
number
lips are
21. He was always saying his favorite number is 22.
Yeah, that was my college, and I couldn't get to
21.
They had a white running back. That was a junior.
Was it reverse discrimination?
That had 21, and he wouldn't give it up, man. And I reluctantly took 22 and kind of fell in love with that number, but yeah.
Only for a short time.
And then he got a knee.
Yeah. Thanks, Smoking Jim. Chip, thanks for trivia time. I thought it was Smoking Jim's time again.
My fault.
That secret information's
No,
always a key part of our show.
That's good stuff. And Jim and I tried to bring light to the high school athletic scene here, because sports in Western Pennsylvania are huge. Here we've got the Pirates, the Penguins, the Steelers, but the high school sports probably get better attendance than all of them put together, because there's so many more games played on a regular basis.
Sure, in a short period of time, definitely.
Yeah, Gateway, it's a step down when them kids go to college and play.
Yeah, no, they don't get paid as well.
Free housing. All right, we'll go on to another.
But at least they're well aware of the recruitment process as it starts when they're in grade school.
I've heard it even starts at birth, so you do have to watch. I caught Smoking Jim a couple times. Your baby's going to be a great football player at Gateway. We don't even live in the state. Don't worry about it.
I got a guy.
Yeah. This is all off the record, folks. You're just a little
tongue in cheek, folks. A little tongue in cheek.
Very little. And now with my last thing on our segment, on location, we'll be up in Dormont again. We're at Camp Petey's, had a very successful show. Now we're going to be at Jeffrey Park's Hollywood Lanes. Wait till you see the place. He's out there promoting it. We're promoting it. It's going to be a great night. He has all kind of specials. I'll get the details before the week's up. I'll post it. We got a lot of guests calling in that they're going to make it. I got confirmations. I can't even keep up with them, Smoking Jim.
That's great.
And Smoking Jim's been firing out a lot of guests. And I'm not sure. I don't have their phone numbers, so I'll believe it after I interview them. So he does have a lot on the list. If 2 or 3 of them show up, Smoking Jim, it's a win, buddy. That's all. But come on out there. It's such a fantastic place. $500,000 worth of. They reconstructed it, rebuilt it, and it's cosmic bowling. They got a bar. Lucky Strike bar is right there, so it's very fancy. They have a nice stage. Wait till you see where we're at, Smoking Jim. They got an electronic like scoreboard behind us and video display. So it'll be a lot of fun, and it'll be our first show, and we're going to do a show every first Monday of each month starting in January. So come on out there. Dormont's not that far away, 7:30 to 8:30. And that's our on-location report. Now, I already gave the Meadows report on Smokin' Jim. His horse will be racing each week, or just about 3 times out of each month, even in the winter. So I'll give you updates on that on Facebook, and even Smokin' Jim I'll find out for you.
Thank you,
since you're in the SummerSlam stable and you're supposed to be hooked up. Now, let's go right to the Steeler game, because there's been so much rumors and innuendos that Tomlin should go. They're never going to win another game. But if you listen to Pittsburgh Sportsline, we've told you about the defense almost every week.
Yes, sir.
When they win, they played above average and got a few breaks. When they lose, we said, my biggest concern with my co-host is, can you hold a lead? We thought we had enough points, and we did not again. So that's where we're at with the Steelers. Bradshaw did get concussed, even though he said he wasn't. I'm sorry. Wait, what am I saying? Sorry.
Well, he actually flunked the
I'm going back.
the test. It was funny. He was interviewed on the radio today, and he said he wasn't concussed. He had a traumatic ocular migraine, which. Okay, and he said, he goes, I took a lot of tests in college, and unlike the tests I took in college, he goes, I aced this one. This is what he said on the radio. Well, apparently the doctors thought otherwise. You flunked the test, and yes, you did have a concussion, and you will remain in the concussion protocol until you fulfill all the requirements, of it, which is fine. I'll probably still play this week.
Right.
But
the sad part about it, Chip, everybody in the NFL was praising him, saying that at least you reported it, whether you had one or not. For him to say that on air today, that ruins his credibility again.
But I tell you the one thing he did say on the radio, and one of the last things he said before they cut him off the air, or before he signed off, was that he goes, when it comes to head injuries, he goes, you can get a knee replacement, you can get a hip replacement, you can heal broken bones, but you can't get a brain replacement. And I was like, first you have to have one first. But the one thing he did say that I do admire him for saying is that, if you've got a head injury, it's in your best interest to take yourself out of the game. It doesn't mean that you're not tough. You got to do what's smart for you because of the awareness that there are for head traumas and everything. And, he put a message out there for young high school kids. He goes, I've played through any injury in the world, but he knew something wasn't right with his head. He pulled himself out of the game.
He hurt the team by taking himself out.
Well, you know what?
The interceptions didn't help either.
And him being knocked out of the game isn't the reason why the Steelers lost on Sunday.
He played 8 plays afterwards, man.
Yeah, I know he did. And, watching that game, and this is one of the games that I watched from start to finish, and I threw things at the TV set, I believe 6 times. And the 6 times I threw something at the television set was every time it was third down and more than 10 yards. Because it seemed like every time that we got the Seahawks in that position, they had a big play. How did we lose the game? Well, it was third and 10. All we had to do was stop them one more time. We get the ball back, and they throw an 80-yard touchdown pass. Oh, and it looked somewhat familiar to when Ike Taylor got toasted by Tim Tebow, okay? A little crossing pattern, and all of a sudden the defensive backs get alligator arms and they can't tackle, okay? How this guy made it all the way down the field, and how I didn't break my television set's beyond me. But
I watch it also.
It's
very frustrating, but expected. And then even one of the things with the call on the catch, these guys are making great catches, and you can't see it in real time. Mm-hmm. And they're breaking it down so much. That was a great catch.
It was a great catch. I think the referees.
The rules.
But the rules are so. How do you interpret a rule that's got so many different variables to it that college calculus isn't that confusing?
Here's what I say: what would it have hurt if you let that catch go? Because and every year before. That's a catch.
Well, here's another
It's a
thing is that
beautiful catch.
Martavis Bryant. Everybody's saying, "My goodness, how good of a football." That kid dropped 2 big plays, and I mean, just flat out dropped the ball.
Argument with Ben early on. Ben had to settle him down.
But that's what helped him.
But I mean, that hurt the team. There were a number of calls that the referees didn't make. I believe that there was, I saw several times where the wide receiver. The wide receiver got bumped 15 yards down the field.
I have a question from our NFL expert. Chip, let me interrupt you here. Smoking Jim, we got a rule that you're not allowed to hit the receiver, I think, right? After 5 yards?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Now, I understand hand fighting. But we're getting guys that are almost knocked down.
Yeah.
And that's not a penalty? Or that's
well,
just one?
I agree. I agree with that. But also you have to say is, I think that the best wide receiver in the world is Antonio Brown. And my dad always taught me, who was my greatest coach, and he says, if you're a great wide receiver, you can beat one-on-one coverage. Well, Antonio got schooled. He got schooled.
Richard Sherman, 6 catches for 51 yards.
But the Steelers, did he have 6?
6 catches for 51 yards.
You were concussed.
But, the first time that I ever saw this happen in a Steeler game is somebody did a helmet-to-helmet hit on Ben, and they actually got flagged.
Yeah,
Michael Bennett, that hit, it was blatantly, he hit him with the crown of his helmet. Right in the head, and they actually threw the flag on it. Usually,
that's rare.
Yeah, well, I'll wait to see if he does end up getting a little something deducted from his pocketbook. We'll see. I think the fines come out on Thursday.
They usually do.
They usually come out on Thursday. But the fuss about people on the radio and everything. Everybody says that Mike Tomlin lost that football game, and
had his hand in it.
There was a lot of different factors that led into that game being lost. Yes, there was some poor coaching.
It was a team effort.
Wait, there was poor coaching decisions made. Yeah. There was also 4 interceptions thrown by the quarterbacks, which also led to points. Actually, those 4 interceptions led to 21 points scored by the Seahawks. Okay, there was the fact that the defense couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. There was just a number of different factors. If you're going to blame the reason that the Steelers lost on Mike Tomlin wasn't the one out there not tackling people after they caught the pass, and he wasn't the one out there that wasn't getting a hold of the quarterback. And I heard several times Jarvis Jones was just a couple of steps away from Russell Wilson when he threw the ball. Okay, and that made me think of my friend Jim over here, because he's got a nickname for Jarvis. Okay, and
I'm surprised they don't use it on TV.
I don't know, but it was a heartbreaking loss simply because that was a game by all rights. The Steelers were in a position to win. They should have won, and they didn't. Seattle. They were a better team than us on Sunday, and there
was 3 games this year the Steelers won that they should have lost. So, but the thing that made me mad in the game was Landry Jones forgot to bring his arm with him.
Wouldn't you say, just for argument's sake, it's cold there or damp, and you don't even have him throw a ball? He didn't throw a ball. And then he comes in. You see the best quarterbacks in the league got to warm up on commercials.
Wait a minute. How do you underthrow somebody that's 6'10"? I mean, come on. You just throw the ball into the air. 6'10". The guy that was covering him needed a ladder to get up that high.
Well, what's the guarantee he would have caught it, even though he was a tight end?
Al Levine, the Taco Machine, played center in an era where the center was the starting center. He was also the long snapper for everything, right? Yeah. They didn't have specialized. Now mostly every team in the league, they have 3 guys that do the job. You got the long snapper that does nothing but long snap. You got the punter, that's the holder for the kicker. And you got the kicker, and you put them off on the side in practice and let them do their thing. Where in old days, the backup quarterback was the holder. Most teams don't have that. They have the punter now because the backup quarterback actually got to do work with the other players
holds
on
the
other
clipboard.
teams. Yeah, holds the clipboard.
Where's
But in
the-
practice,
where's the baseball?
But in
Right.
practice, he's a backup. So
What's your
when
point?
Landry Jones comes into the game, Seattle screaming, "It's the backup quarterback! The quarterback's
But,
in!"
and here's what the problem with the reason why this happens. Well, you're only allowed to activate 2 quarterbacks for the game.
Okay.
Because you've got the 53-man roster, and then you've got only 45 can be active for the game.
Well, Cleveland had 3 last night, so you must be able to have 3.
No, they
Johnny
didn't.
was in
Johnny was a
uniform.
3rd string. He wasn't in. I don't believe he was dressed. for
Yeah,
the
he
game.
was.
No, he was dressed. I
Was
saw
he
it,
dressed?
yeah.
He
There
sure
must be
wasn't
some
get-
rule about it.
He
We'll have
sure
to
wasn't
find out.
getting on the field.
I don't know. He almost had to.
Yeah,
There was nobody else.
I'm telling you what.
If that
And
Austin
then,
didn't get in.
And mark my words here, guys. I believe that Johnny Manziel has played his way out of Cleveland, and that's
a shame.
That's hard to say. But,
Young people are
he
going to
started
drink.
2 games in 2 years, and he played his way out of Cleveland. If that isn't a record, it should be. But mark my words. Jerry Jones is out there waiting for Johnny football to get
Sure, he's
cut.
from Texas.
Yeah, Jerry Jones just loves him. That little
All I got to say is this. In all the years I was in college and all the fraternity parties I went to, I am still the only person that never drank at a fraternity party. Everybody drinks in college but me.
Yeah.
right.
He's still in there. We'll take a look at those records.
That's how I found out what a keg was.
Really?
So that kind of about wraps up. Now, if I may interject a little something here. There should be some activity on the baseball front. Tomorrow is the day where Major League Baseball teams have to either tender an offer or they
Lose it.
they waive the rights to any of the baseball players that are arbitration eligible. This would affect a certain first baseman who underperformed this year, named
hero.
Pedro Alvarez. So before the end of the day tomorrow, one of 2 things will happen. He'll either be released by the Pirates, or the Pirates will give him a qualifying offer, which then he can take to the arbitrator, and the arbitrator picks between what the player wants and what the team wants.
Well, I mean, I maybe have a solution for Pedro. Why don't the Pirates bring in Barry Bonds as the hitting coach? There's other teams that want to sign Bonds as the hitting coach.
I know that. Well, he's.
Don't you think that could be a good idea
Well,
for Pedro?
For everybody.
I don't know about that. Barry is right now is deciding on an offer from the Miami Marlins. And,
Up it.
Hey, if that's what Barry Bonds wants to do here, I wish him all the luck in the world.
Great hitting coach. Great hitting
Well,
coach.
the guy can hit the ball like nobody else. I mean,
Learn from his
if
dad.
there's
He
one-
actually hit home runs, unlike your hero, Pete Rose.
So also on the baseball front today, the Red Sox signed David Price, who is probably number 1 pitching.
Oh, yeah.
7 years, $217 million. With all the money that's going to be thrown around here, you look. I listened to what the St. Louis Cardinals on their regional television deal, which is separate from the major league deal. Sure. They signed a 15-year agreement for, I believe, close to $2 billion. Of over 15 years.
What are we getting on route here?
We're not getting
We
anything
getting a
like
couple
that.
million?
And you look at these teams that are able to spend this kind of money. The Red Sox have their own network. They've got national recognition. The Yankees, they print money. They've got the Yes Network. You've got Chicago Cubs that have the national. Now listen, look at what the Los Angeles Dodgers did. Last year, the Los Angeles Dodgers set a record for the highest payroll ever in Major League Baseball history. $298 million is what their salary, what they paid out in salaries last year. Now, because they were so far over the limit that's set by Major Leagues, they have to pay close to $50 million back to the Major League Baseball, which will be split up among the other team as a luxury tax.
Wow.
For exceeding that.
Get over $1 million
But
for
then
doing
again,
nothing.
you're looking at a city of close to 10 million people, and they've got their own television rights. These are teams that have billion-dollar television packages, And that's something that, the Pirates don't have. I mean, it is a fact of the matter.
Well, I think our city is about 350,000 right now.
So-
It's been growing.
So Baseball America, one of the governing things that in baseball, they picked the Pittsburgh Pirates organization as the top organization of 2015 with the moves that the Pirates made.
fantastic.
So the Pirates are doing a lot of things the right way, and people were already fussing and complaining about the Pirates, and this is one thing I think the Pirates have earned in the last 3 years. They've earned the benefit of the doubt. They haven't made any moves yet, and you know what? I'm going to sit back and see what they do, and they've been successful with what they've done so far.
Go ahead.
See what they've
But
got in store.
do you agree that the window is starting to close a little bit on the Pirates because of the way these other teams can spend? So the Pirates got to quit choking when they get to the playoffs. They got to make it happen.
Well, you're absolutely correct. They do need to start winning when they make it into the playoffs. And, but I don't think the window's closing yet. I think the Pirates will end up, they've got some smart baseball minds. They're going to make some good decisions. They're going to make some bad decisions.
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, the Pirates will be contending all season long next year. Mm-hmm. And, I guess I'll go out on the limb. It's December 1st. Look for us to win the Central Division next year.
Whoa.
The Cubs getting out of the Central?
No.
It's a 162-game season you learned this past year.
Smoking Jim.
Anything can happen.
You know what the Cubs didn't have happen last year?
What's that?
They didn't get bit by the injury bug. It'll happen this year.
Pirates didn't really get hit either with injuries.
They had
Yes,
injuries
they did.
left and right, but
Yes,
Who
they
went
did.
down? That was worthwhile.
A.J. Burnett went
Yeah,
down.
I'm
Gong
talking
went
worthwhile. I said
down.
worthwhile.
Jordy Mercer went down.
starters. They're starters.
Oh my goodness! For who?
Marte was injured several times during the year.
He was a Gold Glover.
Yeah,
Andrew McCutcheon had a bad knee most of the year. I mean, do you want me to go on?
Well, Smoking Jim probably believes they should have spent $36 million on Hap. Hap is happy, but we weren't going to pay him an average of $12 million a year.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Ray
you know what?
Searage should get a percentage of that.
But here's what my thought is on that. Ray Searage, he works with pitchers. When we signed him, I thought the same thing everyone else did. Who is Jay Happ and what are you doing? Right. They saw something. They didn't want to pay him $36 million over 3 years. Maybe there's a reason why.
Sure.
I'm going to trust his expertise because, in my field of endeavor, I'm an expert. I'm not a general manager or pitching coach of a major league team.
Yeah.
I defer to the people that seem to know what they're doing because, the last 5 years, the Pirates have been an exciting team to watch. 3 years in a row in the playoffs. Next year we'll make 4.
That's what the fans of Cleveland been doing too, and Farmer, the general manager, ain't been doing too well.
I'll tell you what, speaking of Cleveland, that's another. Get ready for another implosion. They're going to blow it up here in a few weeks. They're going to start from scratch all over again. They're probably going to have 6 first-round draft picks and not hit on any of them. Jim complains about the Steelers and their draft picks and all the busts that we've had. Don't even come close to the Cleveland Browns.
Well, baseball's another thing. It's hard for draft picks to succeed, especially top draft picks.
Well, and especially
very few.
When you're drafting in baseball, you're basically drafting high school players.
Exactly.
So, it's usually 4 or 5 years for them to mature.
Uneducated.
No, not uneducated.
Not so much. Not so much, Jim. You get the educated players like Pedro Alvarez, you can't even teach him how to play first base.
Yeah. He's very educated. He's very
right out of the University of Vanderbilt, right?
He's highly educated, and that's your man. It's rare that you like a college man.
But just on that note, I do believe that the Pirates will tender Pedro an offer. I don't believe that they'll let him go for nothing.
Well, I think they have to because they've done that a couple times.
They'll give him an offer. He'll go to arbitration. They'll work some kind of trade over the winter or early spring.
Go to the American League. That's where I want him.
That's where he needs to go. But you know what? They can't give him away for nothing.
No, they've done it before. And I think if we can get another reclamation project with a pitcher, these pitchers have an incentive to come and work with Searage. Look at the multi-million-dollar contracts they get for a year or two here.
Real quick, last year we traded Travis Snyder at the beginning of the year, picked up 2 pitchers out of the Orioles system. They're both doing extremely well.
And we got him back, too.
One was in single A. They're going to move him up to triple A this year. Look for him to be in the majors before the end of next year.
I'm a look.
All right, you look, Smoking Jim, thanks for watching our show. We appreciate all of you. Devin Shea, thanks for the control room. Our man Jack, he's on camera, doing a heck of a job here. Thanks, Jack. And thanks to Dave Cable. The lighting, look at the lights in here. It's a professional studio now. Thanks for watching. Stay Joey strong.